Welcome to One Move at a Time, the show where we highlight people and organizations that are advancing our U.S. chess mission statement to empower people, enrich lives, and enhance communities through chess. I'm Dan Lucas, the Senior Director of Strategic Communication at U.S. Chess, and my guest today is Mark Indermaur, joining us from North Carolina. He is the founder of the Indermaur Chess Foundation, a nonprofit 501c3 organization and U.S. Chess affiliate that helps parents, teachers, and volunteers start chess clubs in North Carolina schools, libraries, and community centers. Mark is a volunteer chess coach and organizer with 12 years experience teaching chess to more than 1,000 children. He has run over 160 rated tournaments as a U.S. Chess Senior Tournament Director and has been named the North Carolina Chess Coach of the Year in 2016, 20, and 23. In May 2023, he was named the inaugural winner of the Andy Lerner Award for Excellence in Chess Education. In 2022, he was invited to serve on the U.S. Chess and Education Committee and became the committee co-chair in 2023, along with Christina Mulinax. And then just as we're coming on the air here, we found out that he is now one of 6 new inductees into the Wake County Public Schools Hall of Fame in the athletics category. Mark Indermaur, welcome to the One Move at a Time podcast.
Thank you, Dan. Great to be here.
So I always just like to start with what people's chess history is. How did you get into this game of ours?
Oh, wow. Well, way back when I was maybe 10 years old, I think maybe 9 or 10 years old, my father taught me how to play. And that was during the Bobby Fischer era. And so along with many of my friends, we were following the World Championship and got to have a chess club in school. I had a lot of fun. We lived in New York at the time, and chess was there was a lot of chess there. And then we moved when I was in 5th grade to North Carolina. And it took a little while to find some chess opportunities here in North Carolina. I eventually found a tournament at a local community center, and they told me about a U.S. chess rated tournament at a local university. And that's the first time I got to play a rated game. And I played, I think, a series in 6 tournaments at that university. I was the only child playing there. It was all older people, college students and up. And then, unfortunately, that organizer moved, and then the nearest tournament was several hours away. And so I didn't play another rated chess game until I got involved again with my kids when they were in chess. So I don't know how that may compare to other adults where you played as a child, and then I had a pretty long period where I was inactive, and then came back.
That's a very typical story in U.S. chess. In fact, it's very similar to my own, starting as a kid in the Fischer era in New York, and then moving down to South Carolina and and starting playing in a chess club there with my dad in the mid-'70s. So, and then I didn't get involved in U.S. chess rated play until '93. So, not terribly different.
I'll add one interesting anecdote to that, is that when I joined U.S. Chess again, I thought, well, I wonder if I can find my old rating. And so the local university had back issues of Chess Life magazine. And so I found this magazine, all these magazines from the 1970s, and I found my name in there. So I found my rating, and I scanned that page and emailed it to the U.S. Chess office, and they were able to reinstate me with my childhood rating. We didn't have membership numbers back then, or I just listed my name and my rating. I didn't see a membership number back then. And of course, since I hadn't played in a long time, as soon as I went to play in some tournaments, my rating promptly dropped. But it was neat to reinstate my previous rating.
And I listed off a long litany of chess credentials you have here, but even though it sounds like it's a full-time job for you, this is not your day job, right? Tell us what your career is and, you know, what,
Yeah, that's right. So I'm doing this. I got back into it as a volunteer, volunteering with my son's chess club. But my day job is in software as a product manager. Uh, so so
and
do a lot of work with technology. Mainly with products for large corporations.
and what was the genesis of the Indermaur Chess Foundation?
Well, I together with my wife, we volunteered at my son's chess club for several years. The club had gotten pretty large. We had over 150 kids in a school of 600, and we could see how much the children, the school, the families were benefiting from chess. And it kind of hit us. Well, what could we do so that more children, more families, more schools could experience those benefits, and that's what really led us to start the nonprofit. Um, that not every school there are chess businesses out there. Uh, Certainly, there's a number of them here in North Carolina that provide excellent support to schools, but not every school can afford um, to hire them. So we didn't really want to compete with the chess professionals, but we wanted to enable more schools to participate. And um, so that's how we got started.
And is it a two-person concern between you and your wife, or do you have any staff at all?
No, no staff at all. So it's us volunteers, and then for events and things that we run, we get some additional volunteers. We certainly get donations from various families across North Carolina, that sort of thing. So we definitely get some help, but it's primarily the two of us. So.
Okay. And one thing I'm especially interested in talking to you about is safe play. It's become a very strong program in U.S. chess this past year. And my understanding is you have dealt with safe play in a couple of other areas as well. Can you talk about your experience with safe play, and then we can get into how it's a specifically affected your chess concerns?
Sure. So before I started coaching chess, I coached soccer for probably 20 years. So I coached several of my children's soccer teams at a recreational level. I was assistant coach at the next level up, the challenge level, um, and safe play was just a requirement as part of being a soccer coach. Maybe it wasn't when I first started, but it was introduced in the soccer programs quite a while ago. And it turns out it's the exact same organization that US Chess has selected for our training. Um, so I didn't even have to create a new ID. It was, I was just able to log into the same account that I had as a chess coach, and all the history of the various training I'd taken and the refresher classes, everything was there. So I had experience with it there. In A couple of my children were in the scouting program, and I was a den leader. I had a couple different volunteer roles in Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts. Um, and they have a similar youth protection training program, and it's kind of under an umbrella of safe scouting. Um, and even recently, I had a student who wanted to earn a chess merit badge, so I signed up to be a merit badge counselor, and the local council requires, even if all you're doing is volunteering to be a merit badge counselor, you have to complete the required training. And so it was similar to the training I had years ago when I was a scout volunteer before, and it's very similar to what we're doing now in US Chess. So um, I'd say there are a lot of organizations that have that. Even religious organizations, many of them have that kind of training. Um, so
In scouting and in soccer, Did you find that with the introduction of safe sport training, that there was any change in the culture? Once that was out there, did people start treating people differently, or was it just known, oh, it's out there, it's a resource we have?
Um, well, I'd say in scouting, the scouting had some pretty well publicized problems over the time. So I think it did it did cause a change there, and there was a requirement that every parent had to go through kind of a with their own child, sort of a child appropriate training. It was at the front of the book each year. Depending on what age they were, there was a it was at the front of the book, and you had to sign off that you did it and give it to the scouting leader. So everyone in the organization was familiar with the policies and the programs, and then there was more training for the adult volunteers. Um, and I think in scouting, one of the key things that they emphasized was that two unrelated adults, were always required at any activity, and that any activity, even if you were doing something like a merit badge session, or that you were um, reviewing something for a scout's advancement, it would be done in a like on the edge of a large room. You wouldn't have to
Mhm.
go somewhere else. So there was never a reason to be alone with the child, that sort of a thing. So it definitely changed that kind of a culture. In the sporting in soccer, um, I'm trying to think. I don't know that I noticed as much of a change there. It certainly was a firm requirement, though. As a coach, we didn't get our badge um, until we completed the training. So we were not allowed on. We couldn't schedule a practice for our team. We couldn't go to a game. We couldn't do anything unless we had completed the training. So it was. Um, and no one else could help with the team. So you couldn't um, if the head, as the head coach, if I were going to be out of town, I had to have an assistant coach who had completed the training to lead the team for that weekend's game. For example, another parent couldn't just substitute. Um, so that I think it reinforced the importance of that to everyone.
And I imagine with those kinds of experiences that once you needed to incorporate safe play policies into your US chess work, that uh, it was fairly seamless, I would guess.
Exactly. I was glad to see it, and the fact that that U.S. Chess is just leveraging the existing training that has benefited so many other organizations. Um, it just made a lot of sense. And then for me, it was nice, that I could reuse my same account, and
Mhm.
I know the first training is a little bit longer. I think it was about 90 minutes. But the refresher courses are like 30 minutes. And I find that it's similar to other areas. Like sometimes, like at work, we have people who sign up to be trained on CPR, and so they're a resource in case something happens at work. Um, and there's annual refresher training there. We're not uh, medical technicians, so we're not doing this every day. So it's helpful to get a refresher on what how do you do CPR? What have there been any changes, or new recommendations? So it's just, to me, it's the same sort of thing like this. Hopefully none of us are involved in any kind of a situation like this, so we won't necessarily have regular experience with it. So having a refresher that reminds you, um, I think, is very helpful.
And while it was seamless for you, there seem to be some misconceptions with people that this is brand new to. A lot of TDs who have been doing this for decades have some misconceptions. Have you heard these, and what are your thoughts on that? How would you answer
I
them?
I guess I have heard some of those, or seen them in online discussions. And we're all kind of naturally resistant to change, and so this is a change, and so maybe an initial reaction is to resist that. I just encourage people to look at this as a positive change, that by ensuring that chess events, chess tournaments, chess clubs are safe places, we're going to um, encourage a lot more people to play chess and to have a fun, safe time doing it. So I understand some people are concerned about the cost, the $19 the first year, the $9 subsequent years. These other, when in scouting, our local council, I went to look at, it's $91 to register as an adult volunteer per year. And 65 of that goes to the national level, and the rest stays local. So different councils around the country may charge different amounts, but for all, I think for all of them, it's a minimum of $65 a year. That's quite a bit more than what we're charging. In soccer, there wasn't a charge for the coach, but obviously each of the players had to pay each season, and then they use that money, I think, to pay for the course for the coach. So I think it's a reasonable cost, especially considering we don't have to pay an annual registration fee to be a tournament director.
Right, right. And the other misconception I've heard is that we're doing this because we think that TDs are the problem, where it's really the exact opposite. It's we see our TDs as our eyes and ears out there, that can really be a tremendous help to us in creating a safe environment for all.
Exactly. Well, like, I think we're the almost the best positioned to prevent problems. That's really, a lot of the training, or people may focus on what are these reporting requirements and things like that. But to me, a lot of it is actually the prevention aspect of it. So if you know some of these things from the training, you can ensure that you have a safe event. And they people who may try to abuse children look for potentially vulnerable organizations, right, that maybe aren't doing these kinds of things, and when they see protections in place and people who are trained, they're 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 gonna they're gonna go away, right? It's in effect, we will be, like you said, we're being like on the front line, to help kids be safe.
And we've gotten off to a really good start with our safe play initiatives and policies at US Chess. We just passed a major deadline of June 1st as the requirement for all TDs to be certified. How would you like to see this program evolve over time?
Well, I think the aspect that the scouting program has is an interesting one, so that perhaps when parents register their child as a youth member, there could be some information that's provided to them that that they could read and discuss with their child. I think that would be there wouldn't need to be a cost associated with that, but it helps the child and the parent also better identify, when something's a safe environment, or if something is off or unusual. So I think that might be a relatively easy enhancement. I think the other thing I would mention, I guess I've been volunteering in schools for a long time, and the local school district has always had the same kind of requirement to volunteer. Each year you have to register. Each year they do a background check. And then they have similar policies that they require volunteers to uphold. So if you see evidence of harassment or bullying or sexual misconduct, you have similar requirements to report. And so in many ways, this is U.S. chess getting in line with what pretty much every other youth or any other organization that's involved with youth or vulnerable adults does.
And so let's talk about chess and education, which is really your bailiwick. What are your and Christina Molinex's goals with the Chess and Education Committee?
Oh, yeah, excellent question. Yeah, so first we we report to the U.S. Chess Executive Board, and our responsibility or mission is focused on chess in education. So in schools, in school districts, we're focused on helping teachers leverage chess as an educational tool. So that's kind of our focus as compared with there's a separate scholastic committee that's focused on the scholastic competitions especially at the state and national levels. And so we're trying to provide resources for teachers. We're trying to share information with them. So we have a section on the U.S. Chess website where we've collected a set of resources, information about grants that they can get to help fund their programs. We've kind of interviewed a number of different chess coaches and selected recommended equipment that we got a good price off of with U.S. Chess sales. So if teachers looking to buy some equipment, we at least have something recommended, a combination at a good price for them. And then we've been running pretty much monthly webinars for the last 2 years on a variety of topics that are relevant to teachers. And this past year, we've had a focus on chess during the school day. So that was a focus of a number of our webinars. They're all available. There's a link off of that chess education part of the US Chess website to our YouTube channel. So all the previous webinars are available for replay there. And I'd say we'll do some planning this summer, but certainly one of the big focus items we have for next year is the St. Louis Chess Conference that'll be towards the end of October, sponsored by the St. Louis Chess Club. And there's a particular focus on chess and education and research around the benefits of chess that will be presented at that conference.
Yeah, and I'll add keynote speakers are Gary Kasparov, Maurice Ashley, and Judith Polgar. So it'll be an exciting event. I think it's October 24th through 26th in St. Louis. Will we have a physical? So U.S. Chess, along with KCF and the St. Louis Chess Club, are the sponsors of the event. Will the Chess and Education Committee have a physical presence at this conference?
Yes, I'm registered to participate in the conference myself, and I think several members of the committee are going to try and attend as well. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm especially interested in what you were saying about chess during the school day, because scholastic chess is growing so fast that it doesn't seem much of a stretch to think of chess being a regular part of the curriculum as opposed to a club or after-school activity. Do you agree with that? Can you see a day where it's more common than not that chess is part of the curriculum in schools across the U.S.?
I think so. And we did, through these webinars, we had presenters from around the country, sharing their experience doing just that. So we had a variety of different speakers. So we had some who were school teachers. We had a student who was working with the teacher on programs. And we had some chess professionals who were working with schools on programs during the day. So we had a nice mix, and people sharing different kinds of ideas, and kind of. I think there's a lot of creativity about different ways that chess can be leveraged. I know from our nonprofit in rural communities, there are it's often difficult to hold before or after school activities because of transportation challenges. There are only a few schools in an entire county because it's sparsely populated. So transportation is a challenge. And if you ran an after school activity, it might be difficult for a child to get home if the school might be 20 or more miles from their house. So those schools do a club period. So they pick a time one day during the week, maybe it's a 1 hour slot, and students can either get help on an academic subject, or they can choose from any of a large number of clubs. And so basically all the clubs are at the same time, but that way every child can participate in a club, and there are no transportation challenges for the students. So it really is amazing when you start to talk to different schools around the country to see the creative options that people come up with.
So Mark, if people want to learn more about your foundation, what is the website that they can go to?
It's indermaurchessfoundation.org, and I realize my last name is maybe difficult to spell, so that's INDERMAUR chessfoundation.org. I have a shortcut as well, so you could also type ICFNC.org. So the initials and then with NC for North Carolina.
And if they want to reach out to you directly, is there a contact form on the page, or is there an email address you'd rather give out?
There is a contact form, and then my email is just mark@indermaurchessfoundation.org. So they can email me directly.
That's nice and easy. Mark, is there anything we didn't talk about safe play, chess and education, or anything else that you'd like to bring up?
Well, I'd say that I would encourage some of your listeners maybe who are thinking about starting a chess program. That is one thing that we've done with our nonprofit. I mentioned I had all this experience previously coaching soccer, and so we try to model our programs based on that experience. You have across North Carolina, there are probably tens of thousands of parents every year coaching a recreational sports team, none of whom were professional athletes. And a lot of people feel like you have to be a master to start or teach a chess program. And that's not true. You don't have to be a professional athlete to run coach a sports team for kids, and you don't have to be a master to start a chess club. So the sports league provide places where you can practice. They provide lessons plans to the coaches, and they schedule games for you, so you don't have to figure all those things out. And so we provide chess sets. We provide some instructional materials. We've used the chess step books, and we also, for the younger, like elementary school and maybe up to middle school, will offer chess kit accounts as well. So that's an alternate way of getting lesson plans. And then for clubs that are based at libraries, we also provide a selection of gently used chess books. Various people donate those to us, and we find them good new homes. So I would just encourage your listeners that there are resources, whether they're through my nonprofit or the U.S. Chess Education Committee website. There's just a variety of ways where you can get resources and get started with a chess program. And if the kids love the game and they grow and want to learn more, they can always graduate to where they take private lessons or sign up for a chess camp, things like that. But you can give them an opportunity to get started without being an expert yourself.
Perfect. Well said. And yes, we've seen what you've described over and over in U.S. Chess. So, and we have other resources for how to start clubs and such on our website. So Mark Indermaur, thank you so much for joining us on this June edition of One Move at a Time.
Oh, thank you, Dan. Thank you very much for having me.